Today we're going to talk about dividing polynomials. Now, before we launch into division of polynomials, I want to walk you through the process of long division, which of course you all know how to do, and you've known how to do that since elementary school. But the process of dividing polynomials is the exact same process as long division. And so if you keep that in mind, then it seems a little less overwhelming and a little less like a really new topic and more like one that you're taking that you already understand how to do and you're just modifying it. So let's just create a problem here. Let's assume that I gave you a problem for long division and I said, okay, we want to determine what is 8,034 divided by 11. Okay, and you couldn't use your calculator, you had to do long division just like you did way back in second or third grade. So 8,034 divided by 11. Well, the first thing you do is you determine how many times can 11 go into 80. And of course, that would be 7 because 7 times 11 is 77. And then what we're going to do is we're going to subtract. Now, I know a lot of you are rolling your eyes, but again, this process is the exact same thing for polynomials. And so if you'll keep this in mind, it'll make it a lot easier. So we subtract 77, and then that leaves us 80 minus 77, of course, is 3. Bring down the 3. So now I need to know how many times does 11 go into 33. So 33 divided by 11. So 11 times 3, of course, would be 33. So bring down my 33. And again, I'm subtracting this value. And so that gives me 0. So then I just bring down my next value, which of course is 4. Now 4, I need to figure out how many times can 11 go into 4. Well, 0. Okay, because I can't, 11 times 1 would be 11. That's too many. And so then my answer here is 0. So then 4 is my remainder. So what that tells me is that 8,034 divided by 11 is equal to 730 with a remainder of 4 or 4 11ths. Okay, and so that's my answer. So again, long division, you guys all know how to do this. Now I just need you to keep this process in mind as we translate the same idea to polynomials. Okay, so when we're talking about polynomials, our division algorithm for polynomials is this. We're going to take the dividend, okay, this was our dividend here, 8,034, divide by the divisor. The divisor in our problem was 11. So the dividend divided by the divisor is equal to the quotient. In our problem before, the quotient was 730, plus the remainder divided by the divisor. Okay, so make sure that you know the names of these terms because I'm going to refer to them for the rest of the notes. And so you need to know which portion is the dividend, what's the divisor, what's the quotient, what's the remainder. Okay, so before you apply the division algorithm, we're going to follow these steps. First thing we're going to do is we're going to write the dividend and the divisor in descending powers. So this is really important. So this is in descending powers of the variable. Next, we'll insert the placeholders with 0 coefficients for any missing powers of the variable. Now, I will tell you, I am notorious for forgetting to do step number 2. If we were in class and I was working problems on the board, I can promise you I would, in the course of a 2-hour lecture, I would forget to do this at least twice. So if you're like me and you have a tendency to do that, watch yourself, okay? Just realize that you have that tendency and try not to make that mistake. Okay, and then finally, when we go to check our work, we know that the dividend, the dividend is going to equal the quotient times the divisor plus the remainder. So we should never get these wrong because when we come up with our final answer, all we have to do is take the quotient times the divisor, add the remainder, and it should equal the dividend. So we'll know if we've gotten them right each time. So always take the time to check your work and make sure. Okay, so let's work through an example and see how this works. So for the first one, I'm going to divide the following polynomials using long division. I'm going to identify the quotient and identify the remainder. And then, of course, we're going to check our work. So I want to know what x cubed minus 2x squared minus 9 divided by x minus 3 is equal to. So x cubed minus 2x squared minus 9, that's my dividend. X minus 3 is my divisor. So I'm looking for, rewrite this, x cubed minus 2x squared. Now remember, anywhere that I have a missing power, I'm going to put in 0 as a placeholder. And I'm very impressed that I remembered to do this because I never do. Plus 0x, because I don't have any x's, okay, minus 9. Okay, and I'm just doing it in a different color just to highlight the fact that you have to remember to do this. This is going to be divided by, that's my dividend, divided by x minus 3. All right, so now just like when we did long division with numbers, the first thing I do is I look at the first term, the x cubed, and I'm trying to determine, I only have to focus on the first value of the divisor, the first term in the divisor. I want to know how many times does x go into x cubed? What would I multiply x by to get x cubed is what I'm looking for here. Well, x times x squared would give me x cubed. So I'm going to stack this over the x squared column. And you're going to want to make sure your work is really nice and neat, and you're going to stack your variables in the appropriate column. And you're going to do that for 2 reasons. One, it's going to allow you to know when you're done dividing, because you have a value stacked in every single column. And then 2, you're less likely to make simple mathematical mistakes, because I'll tell you, dividing polynomials is not difficult at all. Where you're going to get into trouble is you're going to turn a sign, you're not going to stack something, you're going to forget to put in a 0 placeholder. It's going to be those simple little mistakes that are going to literally drive you crazy, but the division itself is not hard. Okay, so let me erase this and get this out of my way here. I don't need these arrows. Okay, so I know that x times x squared will give me x cubed. So now I'm going to multiply. So I'm going to multiply x squared times x. That's x cubed. This will always eliminate. This will always be the same value if you've chosen appropriately. And then x squared times negative 3. So negative 3x squared. And notice I'm stacking this. My x squareds are all in the same column here. You can see this is my x squared column. This is my x cubed column. So we always need those to be stacked. Okay, so next, just like we did with long division, we subtract. Okay, we subtract these values. And look back up at the top of your notes if you want to. That's the reason I made this so obvious here. After you find your value, always subtract. Okay, so we're always going to subtract with our polynomials as well. So x cubed minus x cubed, of course, is 0. If I've chosen the right number, those first 2 terms will always eliminate. It will always be 0. If they don't, you've chosen the wrong value, okay? Negative 2x squared, now be careful here, minus negative 3x squared. So negative 2x squared minus a negative is plus. So negative 2x squared plus 3x squared is x squared. Now, when some of you were in high school, your teacher told you to go through and distribute that negative through and to change all the signs, and that's totally fine. Most of you are going to go with the approach that you learned first here, and I don't care. You can go with that method if that helps you. You can go with my method. I don't distribute the negatives through because it starts to get really messy, and I can't remember where the positive was and the negative, but you choose what works for you. It makes no difference to me. Okay, so negative 2x squared minus negative 3x squared is positive x squared. And then I bring down my next term, which is 0x. Now I want to know, what do I multiply x by to get x squared? Well, the answer is x. And notice this is going to be stacked in my x column, my x to the first degree column. So now I'm ready to distribute. So x times x is x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. Again, I'm subtracting. Okay, so x squared minus x squared is 0. Those eliminate, so I know that's correct. 0x minus negative 3x is positive 3x. Bring down your next term, which is negative 9. Now I need to multiply. What do I multiply? Again, I'm looking at the x. What do I multiply x by to get 3x? And the answer is 3. So positive 3. So now I'm in the column of coefficients, no x values. So 3 times x is 3x. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. Be careful, we're subtracting. 3x minus 3x is 0. Negative 9 minus negative 9 is 0. And so 0 is my remainder. So now when I write my final answer, the way I would like you to write your final answer is this. We're going to write our dividend. So my dividend was x cubed minus 2x squared minus 9 divided by the divisor. The divisor was x minus 3 equals the quotient, which was x squared plus x plus 3 plus the remainder, and my remainder was 0, so I'm not going to bother to write remainder. Okay, so again, just as a reminder, this is my dividend, this is my divisor, and this is my quotient. If I had a remainder, it would be plus the remainder on the end, okay? And then it's asked me to identify the quotient and the remainder, so we can go ahead and write these out separately. The quotient was x squared plus x plus 3, and the remainder is 0. Okay, and then we're going to check our work. So to check, slide up a bit here. To check my work, I know that the quotient times the divisor plus the remainder will equal the dividend. Okay, so using my information from above, my quotient was x squared plus x plus 3 times the divisor was x minus 3, plus the remainder was 0, so I don't have to add anything, will equal the dividend. So I'm going to do the math here. So x squared times x is x cubed, x times x is x squared, 3 times x is 3x, x squared times negative 3 is negative 3x squared, x times negative 3 is negative 3x, and 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. Combine your like terms, x cubed plus, I have x squared minus 3x squared, so that's negative, back up here, so x squared minus 3x squared is negative 2x squared, plus 3x minus 3x, those eliminate, minus 9. That should equal my dividend, and my dividend was x cubed minus 2x squared minus 9. Those, of course, are equal, and so I know that my answer is correct. So that's how you'll check your work. Just take your quotient times your divisor, add your remainder, and it will equal your dividend. Okay, so let's try the next one. 3x to the fourth minus 2x cubed plus 4x minus 9 divided by x squared minus x plus 2. So again, 3x to the fourth minus 2x cubed plus 4x minus 9, that's the dividend. Put in a placeholder for the x squared. And we're dividing by the divisor, which is x squared minus x plus 2. So looking at the first term, I'm looking at 3x to the fourth, and I want to know, what do I need to multiply x squared by to get 3x to the fourth? Well, I would need to multiply by 3x squared. So again, stack that in the x squared column. So 3x squared times x squared is 3x to the fourth. 3x squared times negative x is negative 3x cubed, and 3x squared times 2 is 6x squared. Don't forget, we're subtracting each of these terms. So 3x to the fourth minus 3x to the fourth is 0. That means I chose appropriately. Negative 2x cubed minus negative 3x cubed. So negative 2x cubed plus 3x cubed is x cubed. 0x squared minus 6x squared is negative 6x squared. And then bring down the 4x. So now I need to know, what do I multiply x squared by, my first term here, to get x cubed. And let me clean some of this up a little bit, because otherwise this is going to be a mess. So x squared multiplied by x. Notice this is stacked in the x column. So x times x squared is x cubed. X times negative x squared. X times 2, positive 2x. And again, all I've done is I've distributed to each of these terms to get the values. Okay, again, we're subtracting. So x cubed minus x cubed is 0. Negative 6x squared minus negative x squared. So that's negative 6x squared plus x squared will be negative 5x squared. 4x minus 2x is positive 2x. Bring down your next term, negative 9. All right, so next, what do I multiply x squared by to get negative 5x squared? Well, x squared times negative 5, so negative 5 here. So negative 5x squared. Negative 5 times negative x is positive 5x. Negative 5 times 2, negative 10. Again, subtract. So negative 5x squared minus negative 5x squared is 0. 2x minus 5x is negative 3x. Negative 9 minus negative 10 is positive 1. Okay, notice, do a quick check here. These are all lined up. I have an x to the 4th column, an x cubed column, an x squared column, x to the 1st, and then finally my coefficients. So that the importance of lining them up now shows me that I'm done too, because when I don't have any more values over here that would line up over anything. So that's part of the reason I had to line them up as well. So that'll keep you straight. So what that tells you then is that negative 3x plus 1 is the remainder. So the quotient is 3x squared plus x minus 5, and then the remainder is negative 3x plus 1. That's my final answer. And then, of course, we want to check our work. I don't have a lot of room, but I'll do my best. So if I want to check my work, I know that the quotient times the divisor plus the remainder will equal the dividend. So let's try. The quotient is 3x squared plus x minus 5 times the divisor, which was x squared minus x plus 2, plus the remainder, which was negative 3x plus 1. And all of that should equal the dividend, which is 3x to the 4th plus 2x cubed plus 0x squared. Actually, I'm going to leave that off because you can write it. I'm just running out of room. Plus 4x minus 9. Okay. A trinomial times a trinomial. Even that makes me vomit a little bit. Okay, so the easiest way to do this is to take your first term and multiply by each of the others. So I'll multiply here, here, and here. So 3x squared times x squared is 3x to the 4th. 3x squared times negative x is negative 3x cubed. 3x squared plus 2 is 6x squared. Now, take the second term. So this time I'll take x times the x squared times the negative x times the positive 2. So plus x cubed minus x squared plus 2x, and then the negative 5 times each term. Negative 5x squared, positive 5x, and negative 10. And then all of that minus 3x plus 1. Okay, combine like terms. This is 3x to the 4th, negative 3x cubed, positive x cubed. So that'll be negative 2x cubed. 6x squared minus 5x squared, oops, I skipped one, minus x squared, so 0x squared, so I don't even need that. 2x plus 5x is 7x, minus 3x is 4x, and then negative 10 plus 1 is negative 9. Well, guess what? That is equal to, that equals your dividend, which is way up here. And so we know our answer is right. So that's how you're going to check your work. Okay. All right. So for part C, if we were in class, I would be ready to turn you loose and let you do this one on your own. So for part C, I want you to do the long division. Be very, very careful. Make sure your numbers are stacked appropriately and check your work. Check your work and make sure that when you multiply the quotient times the divisor plus the remainder that you get the dividend. Okay. And then when you finish doing that, pause, come back, and then I'll have it worked out here and you can check and see how you did. Okay, hopefully you've worked this on your own and you're back. So what you'll find is that the quotient is 4x squared minus x minus 7, and the remainder was 11x plus 15. Now, if that's not the answer you got, first thing you want to look for is you want to make sure, did you include that placeholder of 0x squared? If you did, then go through and just check your math. You probably turned a sign somewhere when you did your subtraction somewhere along the way. You should have also checked your work so that you multiplied your quotient times the divisor plus the remainder. If you got the wrong answer, then when you did your check, it shouldn't have worked either. Mine worked, and so it equaled the dividend. That's how I knew my answer was correct. Okay, so the last topic we're going to talk about is synthetic division. Some of you guys learned about synthetic division in high school. If you didn't, it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy. So we'll talk about it here. And if you learned about it in high school, it'll probably just be a quick refresher. So there is a shortcut for long division, but it's only for divisors that are in the form x minus k. Okay, so if you're dividing by something like x squared plus 3x minus 2, that doesn't work. The only time you can use this is if you're dividing by something in the form of like x minus some number, could be x plus some number. So only a first degree, okay? So only in that form of x minus k. That shortcut is what we call synthetic division. So make sure you write yourself a note that it only works if it's in the form x minus k, because you guys are going to start to apply synthetic division all over the place where it doesn't work. So the pattern for synthetic division of a cubic polynomial is what's shown in the box below. So I'm just going to walk you through the process first, and then we're going to go through and do one, and it'll make a lot more sense. So if I ask you to divide a polynomial, let's say ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d by x minus k, then we're going to use the following pattern. So k is my root value. Okay, so for instance, if I was dividing by, say, x minus 7, then the root would equal 7. Okay. If I was dividing by x plus 7, then the root equals negative 7. So that's the value for k that goes out front here. So be careful with your sign. So, and then what you do is you list the coefficients of the dividend. So here, I've listed whatever this coefficient a is, and then the coefficient b, c, and d. Just the coefficients, not the x's. Okay. First thing I do is I bring that coefficient for a down. Then I take a times k, and that's what goes here in this. Then I add down again, b plus k times a gives me this next value. Whatever this is, I multiply by k to get that value. Add down, multiply, gives me this one, add down, and then that last value is my remainder. Now what happens here is the quotients in the bottom values here, these values that I'm left with, are the coefficients of the quotient. Okay, everything drops by a degree. So if I started, if this was the coefficient for x cubed here, this now becomes the coefficient for x squared. And since b went with x squared, this is the coefficient for x. Everything drops by a degree. C went with x, and so now this becomes the constant here at the end. And then the last value is your remainder. Okay, so we're going to work through one of these. It'll make a lot more sense. Again, remember, this only works for divisors that are in the form of x minus k. All right, so let's go through an example. So use synthetic division to divide 5x cubed plus 8x squared minus x plus 6 by x plus 2. So here I'm dividing by a divisor that's in that form of x minus k. So x minus k here would be x minus negative 2. That's how I get the x plus 2. So my root is negative 2. All right, so I'm going to use long division. So negative 2 goes on the outside. And then I just list the coefficients, 5, 8, negative 1, and 6. So this is 5, this is 8, negative 1, and 6. And again, if I was missing one, I would put it in as a placeholder. I would put 0 in as a placeholder. Okay, so first thing I do is I bring the first term down. 5 just comes straight down. Then I multiply 5 times -2, and that's what goes here. So 5 times -2, of course, is -10. Again, add down. 8 minus 10 is -2. Multiply -2 times that value. Okay, -2 times -2, that's +4. Okay, add down -1 plus 4 is 3. 3 times -2 is -6. Add down -6 plus 6 is 0. 0 is the remainder. Again, everything drops by 1 degree. Remember, 5 was the coefficient for x cubed. 8 was the coefficient for x squared. -1 was for x to the first degree. And then 6 was my constant. Okay, so everything drops by 1 degree. So this is now 5. This is the x squared. This is the x. This is the constant. And that's the remainder. So my quotient, these are the coefficients now for my quotient. It is 5x squared minus 2x plus 3. And we could do long division to check and make sure this is really the right answer. And if you wanted to, I'll just go ahead and prove it to you. And so if I wanted to do long division, it'd be 5x cubed plus 8x squared minus x plus 6 divided by x plus 2. Okay, I need to multiply that to get 5x cubed. I have to multiply x by 5x squared. So this is 5x cubed plus 10x squared. And I'm subtracting. So 8x squared minus 10x squared is -2x squared. Bring down the negative x. Multiply by -2. It's -2x squared minus 4x. Subtracting. Negative x minus -4x, so that would be -x plus 4x, which is 3x. Bring down the 6. And this is 3. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 2 is 6. Again, subtracting, and you can see your remainder is 0. Now, hopefully that shows you that synthetic division is way faster. So some of you initially are going to be a little reluctant to use synthetic division. I can promise you, you're going to want to make that transition, because when we get into some more complex problems, it's going to make things go much quicker. And so for homework, it may not matter as much, but when it comes to your test and time becomes a factor, you need to know how to do synthetic division. One, you're less likely to make mistakes. Two, time's going to be on your side with synthetic division, much more so than with long division. So some of the problems you'll be required to do long division, because if it's not in that form of x minus k, then you don't have a choice anyway. You'll have to do long division. Okay. And then again, if you want to check your work, you could just take your quotient times your divisor, add your remainder, and you'll come back to your dividend. So that's synthetic division.